Hi guys, Tom here. So today's project is actually wrapping my little Boom Vader motorcycle exhaust. The obvious benefit is that the heat stays within the piping, which means less of it comes out and makes contact with your skin or your shoes or actually the air surrounding your engine. So that's the benefit of protecting your equipment, protecting yourself, and also helping keeping the engine nice and cool. I'm also told that if the gases stay nice and hot leaving the motorcycle, they're less dense and it takes less work to get that gas away from the engine, resulting in a better extraction of the gases out of the cylinder and less work that the engine has to do in order to blow the gases out. So this is what I'll be using today. A little bit of a spray bottle filled with water to wet down the wrap. The wrap is right here. It comes with these metal wire ties. I'm not too fond of these. I can't seem to get them as tight as they should be. And the lock wire, which is right here, I'll be using, is perfectly fine since it's not going to be a totally visible installation. So as long as it functions and holds it nice and tight and the wrap is kept close to the exhaust pipe, I'll be happy. And then some lock wire pliers for tightening the lock wire and also snipping it. So here we go. Let's start with the first step, is actually removing the exhaust piping. So the first step is I'm going to be taking off this muffler, and what I found in this everyday toolkit that I now carry with my motorcycle, it comes with some pieces and parts to actually tighten and loosen this muffler bracket. So that's going to be beneficial when or if this muffler happens to loosen itself on the side of the road. Now with the muffler bracket loose, I'm going to remove the springs and slide the muffler off. I'm going to remove the spring with a wire tie. One spring off. Second spring off. Now with the springs off and the bracket loosened, muffler's going to slide out. Now we'll take the muffler and put it off to the side. There's a third spring here. We'll use a zip tie to remove this spring as well. That's the last spring. Now with the last spring removed, we can remove this section of the exhaust. In this step, I'll be taking off the nuts in order to remove the front section of the exhaust. Now with the exhaust piping off, I'll just kind of clean off any type of road tar, any type of dirt or anything with some clean water, rinse it off, and get this ready for the wrap. Now the first step here for the installation is wetting down the wrap. I'm told it's not a requirement with the titanium wraps. However, it does keep the dust down so little fibers don't go airborne, doesn't bother my nose. And for installation purposes, I'll be using some gloves as well. Cut off a couple sections of lock wire. We'll cut a clean edge. I'm going to start from the outlet of the exhaust, working back towards the engine. Fold it over so we have a nice clean edge to start with. And then just do one complete revolution. Now to have that one complete revolution, take the wire tie, pierce it right through twist it around, and get that nice and tight. If you want to prevent it from rotating, what I'm going to do is actually feed it through the spring housing. The spring will go over the top. You won't see the wire from underneath. And that should keep it from rotating. If I don't like that, I can just snip that off and then put the spring on as always. Now, wrap with about a 1/4 inch overlap towards the outlet of the exhaust. Sorry, the engine. Outlet of the engine, working away from the outlet of the exhaust. Going around turns is a little bit of trouble, because you'll see it's a little bit tighter wrap and looser towards the outside to try to make that turn. When you get to the end, just one complete revolution around the exhaust. You can actually twist it a little in spots to try to work the curves. And then some lock wire, you can secure it in place. Now, I like to cut a clean edge. Pull it tight, pull it over on itself. You see a little trial and error. Tuck your fibers in. You can use another piece of lock wire to go over this top. Try to clean it up as much as possible. And that is it, wrapped. So let's clean this up with some fresh lock wire. What I'll do is I'll take off the working piece of lock wire. This piece of lock wire is tight. Cut it some distance away. Bend it over. over. I'm going to use a second piece just to tighten it up right here at the top. Then I'll just clean up this end where I started at. That is the front elbow completed. We'll wrap the second section and then we'll install everything back onto the motorcycle. Now for the second part, I'm going to start wrapping here, overlapping, passing the spring mounts, and then continuing to the other end and passing the spring mounts right here. Since the front section fits into the aft section, and we can wrap this section of the piping as well. And then spring will just go over it. Making sure no residual tar or road grime. Everything looks cleared off. Now we're going to start wrapping. Once again, some pre-cut lock wire. Get these pieces ready. Starting with a clean edge. Now, the exhaust sits at this angle. So we're going to start with the wrap towards the back so you don't see the seam. One complete wrap. Grab a piece of lock wire. This piece doesn't have to be super tight, just needs to hold the wrap in place. What we're going to do is basically reap over the spring mounts, wrap again a complete wrap, and then start making it towards the engine side, closer to the engine on the pipe. Sometimes it gets a little bunched up here since we're going to a narrower pipe. So I pinch it and then wrap over. You can always go back and fix spots you don't like. So here we are at the spring mount. What we're going to do is go around it. It's only on one side of the pipe, so it should be easier. We'll try this again. And we'll stop here. Grab another piece of lock wire. Tuck in the frayed end. And secure it. Make sure the spring mount is available for the spring for a reinstallation. And now we'll add lock wire to tighten up the wrap. It's best to snip these little pieces. We're going to try to unravel the wrap itself. I keep the first starting piece of the wrap. And keep your wraps towards the inside as much as possible, or the underside. You twist it and tighten it. All right, so some of that fell off the screen. So I tightened the last wrap, I tightened the first wrap, and I snipped it and pushed it in. I'm going to use a couple extra lock wire sections to kind of hold some of this curve together. So I snipped off a couple extra pieces of lock wire. Look at the orientation of the pipe. I'm going to put that lock wire on the back side. So just grab hold of it, swing it around, and then I'll tighten it. And we'll bend it down. Just find any other sections that you feel uncomfortable with. Okay, I would probably tighten up right here where the spring's going. All right, now tighten this wire up. Snip. And press. At the end, I use a couple more pieces. Look for where this wire is oriented. Move the twist tie to the back so you don't see it so much, or to the top, but once again you can't see it from looking down from the engine side. And just tighten this up. I'll put another wire right here. We'll cut some more sections. We're going to tighten it right down here as well with a second piece of wire. Once nice and tight, I'm going to snip it. Then bend it down. Somewhat satisfied with that. So what we're going to do is now reinstall the exhaust pipe. All right, so let's get ready for the installation. I'm going to put a little Loctite on these studs. I have the exhaust gasket here. It's going to sit on top of the exhaust pipe between the engine outlet and the inlet to the exhaust pipe. I put the flat side up since there seems to be a nice machine flat surface on the inside of the engine, and then the bulging side can kind of crush into this little area inlet of the exhaust pipe, take up any imperfections. So the gasket in first. Exhaust pipe, and then some of the nuts. First one holds it on. Second one will now go on. They're just hand tight. I'm going to put the rest of the muffler and the exhaust pipe together. Now sliding the muffler back into the strap. The second section of the exhaust is now going to slip into the first section. I'll rotate the pipe up so it slides right into the muffler. I just want to trim these loose ends off rather than having it unravel. And now, with the connections together, we'll tighten everything up. Now to the muffler mount. As always, a little bit of Loctite. And that is the last connection. So the final step here today is just heat up the exhaust, get the wrap to evaporate whatever's remaining moisture is left, and then go out and enjoy the ride. Then afterwards, check the wrap, see if there's any loose sections. You can use some more lock wire, or worst thing comes to worst, you can take it off and reapply. As you see, there's still steam coming off the wrap. Moisture's still there. I think the best thing I could do is go out for a ride, enjoy the new upgrade, see if this reduces the amount of heat getting onto the engine and my leg, and maybe there might be a performance boost. I'm not really sure, but I get out to ride my bike, so it's a good day. Hey, thanks for watching. If there's any questions or comments or any feedback, please leave them in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.